Hi everyone. A quick comment before the episode starts. To keep making these episodes, we need your support. If you're listening on YouTube, please subscribe to our channel and share with your friends. Every subscription helps. If you're listening on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify, or any other podcast platform, please give us a rating and leave a review. Your feedback is really important because it keeps us going. Thank you and enjoy today's episode.
It's the final of the WAFU Under-17 Zone B competition, and it's Nigeria taking on Ivory Coast here in the final. The two met in the group stages of the competition.
It's December 2020, and the Golden Eaglets are preparing for the West African Football Union's B qualifier. The qualifier was scheduled to take place the next month in January 2021 in Benin Republic. Now, the Golden Eaglets are Nigeria's national under-17 football or soccer team. There were 60 boys on the team. The entire team of 60 boys and coaches and support staff, they all moved to their hotel rooms in Abuja, and they started to undergo training for the qualifiers. There were 3 weeks left to the qualifiers, and with only 3 weeks to go, the Nigerian Golden Eaglets went from a team of 60 players down to 20. Anthonieta and John are going to explain what happened. So, was it the coronavirus?
No, not the coronavirus.
Stomach virus?
Nope, not the stomach virus.
But it did have something to do with a medical test that the team failed. The Nigerian Golden Eaglets team is referred to as the most successful in international football for their age group. They have won 5 FIFA Under-17 World Cup titles and have been runners-up on 3 occasions. They are also 2-time Africa Under-17 Cup of Nations champions. So the boys and their coaching team were hopeful about the match and the victories to come. But they first had to undergo an MRI, which is a magnetic resonance imaging test. One by one they line up and each player inserts his arm through the MRI machine. He holds very still. The machine makes some noise. And in a few minutes, the scan is done.
Quick and painless until the results come in. The result of the MRI test showed that 40 out of the 60 players had failed. That's 66% of the team. They will not be allowed to play.
That's not even the worst part. According to Arise News, the coaching team were really devastated because out of the 20 that passed, only 5 were in the main team. And of that 5, only 2 were in their preferred lineup.
Oh no. Wait, the test that they did, why did they fail it?
Well, the MRI was testing for the player's age. The MRI age test was introduced by the International Federation of Football Association, commonly called FIFA. In 2009, FIFA introduced the magnetic resonance imaging, MRI, which was to be used in order to identify players who may be above the age of 17. This was done in order to protect the integrity of the FIFA U-17 World Cup.
How does that work?
According to Susanna Locke in her article for Vox magazine, the test is based on the biology of how bones grow, and especially in the hands and wrist area. So when you're a baby, you're small and you have small bones. But you also have these areas around your bones called growth plates. These are areas of soft cartilage that turn into bone material as you grow. They cause the bones to lengthen. Teenagers especially will experience rapid growth, and that's because as teenagers, both males and females start producing more estrogen that helps create new cartilage along the bones. One study by a FIFA football researcher used MRI to examine the growing bones in the wrists of children and compared it to the wrists of boys above 17. For the boys above 17, the bones in their wrists had fused together, The MRI study, which was sponsored by FIFA, was able to determine with a 99% accuracy whether a person was older than 17 and therefore too old to play in youth games like under 17 and under 16.
So the Nigerian footballers went through this MRI scan, and out of the 60, only 20 passed.
Yeah, but the thing is, the test is not 100% accurate. I know that the FIFA study found 99% accuracy, but an article in Scientific American, written by Dina Fine Marion, disputes the method. According to her, yes, wrist bone development changes during adolescence, but the exact timing of the fusion varies a lot between individuals. For example, she says even FIFA's researchers said that using this same age cutoff for female athletes is extremely problematic because many girls already had complete fusion in their wrist bones before age 17. So there are still arguments by researchers as to how fair it is to declare a player ineligible if there is some chance that the test might actually be wrong. But as far as we know, the MRI is still being used to disqualify players out of tournaments.
But honestly, this was not the first time that the Eaglets have suffered this kind of setback. In 2016, Eurosport reported that an MRI age test carried out on 60 players showed that almost half were ineligible to play. Even before MRI testing, back in 1989, Nigeria's youth teams were banned for 2 years for faking the birth dates of players at the 1988 Olympics. So even if the MRI testing is not perfect, you have to admit that our players have been known to fake their birth dates.
True, but there are reasons for it. One is just straight up lying in order to qualify for the team, but there are a subset of players that actually do not know their real age.
Anthonieta, how is that even possible?
Well, if a player is born in a village, the likelihood that he'll have a birth certificate is very low. There's no database that captures his identity for him to confirm when he was born. So he and his agent just picked the number they believe to be most favorable for the player's career.
But honestly, Anthonieta, some of these guys are getting out of hand with the lie. Have you seen Joseph Minala? He claims to be 24. Have you seen his picture recently? It's out of control.
I agree, Joseph was a bit much. But you know what? It's super easy for everyone to point fingers and have a good laugh at footballers like Joseph Minala, even Samuel Eto'o, Kanu Nwankwo, and all others who have been accused at some point in their careers of lying about their age. We even have something here in Nigeria we call football age. Football age is more like an urban term that is used to refer to the act by football players and any other person really of reducing or increasing their age in order to gain some sort of advantage in whatever industry they work in. Basically, when one fabricates or misrepresents his or her age, the person is said to be using a football age. But the truth is, this act is not just limited to footballers or people in the sporting sector. More footballers have been caught in the lie, and so it has made them forerunners. But people in other fields, unrelated to sports, do it for one reason or another, which is really why the usage of the term football age in Nigeria is not limited to sports alone. Other people do it too.
I know, teenagers on social media, actors, musicians, politicians, even younger people who want to go for NYC lie about their age. People on dating apps, they're the worst. And people seeking employment. And there are many reasons why people lie about their age, depending on the industry or who they want to appeal to. So for example, a footballer who is discovered at the age of 23 by Talent Scout will reduce their age to 17 in order to have a chance to play in youth tournaments or to have more time playing in the professional league.
In the entertainment industry, actors and performers reduce or increase their age in order to get a particular role or position. According to a Time magazine article, many actresses subtract at least 1 year from their actual age so that producers and casting directors will be more likely to hire them for roles or for publicity purposes. Entertainers also do this so they can be seen as younger than they really are and have more youth appeal, which is one thing brands are looking out for. Also, just like the footballers, some entertainers want to stay longer in the industry and believe reducing their age helps them do this.
Now, A person who wants to go through the mandatory 1-year National Youth Service Corps and will be 30 years of age before its time may alter his or her age. This is because once one turns 30, one becomes ineligible to serve. Another set of people who may reduce or in rare cases increase their ages are job seekers who feel the need to do this in order to be desirable to employers. According to Nigeria Infopedia, some people may actually do it to prolong their employment.
Another category of people likely to lie about their age are people who think their ages may be a disadvantage for them in the dating world, especially in a country like Nigeria where men tend to marry younger women. So the older a woman is, the less desirable she may be to some men, so she reduces her age. Most of these people we've spoken about are more likely to reduce their age, but there are a set of people out there who are more likely to increase their age.
Children and teenagers. According to The Guardian, more than 80% of children lie about their age to use sites like Facebook. In an article by Kapowski, 31% of children are prepared to lie about their age, mostly pretending to be older than they really are and altering their age depending on the website they intend to access. This put the children in a very dangerous position.
In the same article by Kapowski, children sometimes see no danger in their online conversations and may not know which information can be shared online and which should be kept a secret. At worst, this scenario leaves the children vulnerable to being approached by adults who expose them to acts, conversations, or content that is inappropriate for them. Another scenario actually puts the adults in difficult positions. So, say a 13-year-old meets someone online and claims to be 18 years old. If the adult then has sexual relations with them, not knowing their real age, this can be a problem for the adult. How are they supposed to verify? So kids lying about their age never really ends well, but we know that teenagers lie about their age to get adult drinks or get into adult bars and clubs. They lie to their friends about their age in order to feel good about themselves.
Okay, so I understand that teenagers can lie by changing their age on social media. Facebook doesn't really have a way to verify. But how do all these other people, the footballers, actors, job seekers, how do they lie about their age? I mean, these are professionals. They need some kind of documentation, right?
Well, some would just verbally lie, but if they're asked to produce documentation, they can alter, doctor, or forge vital records like certificates. Mostly, some individuals just change their birth certificate, which is illegal.
John, how is it possible to get a new birth certificate? Isn't there an entire process for the registration of every child and issuing of birth certificates?
According to information from Citizenship Rights Africa, there is. In Nigeria, a hospital is supposed to issue a certificate to a child as proof of the birth, but this proof of birth is not valid. It's not an official document, the government doesn't recognize it. In order for the government to recognize the child, the parents have to take it to a National Population Commission Registration Center in the hospital or at the local government headquarters. When the parents get to the registration office, they will submit the proof of the birth issued by the hospital or health center. A birth certificate or certificate of registration would then be given for the child free of charge, as long as it's obtained within 60 days. So yes, there's a process to get a birth certificate. But in 2019, Punch newspaper wrote an investigative piece on how easy it is to obtain a birth certificate for a non-existent baby from a national population center in Lagos. So you see, these things are somewhat easy for those who want to engage as long as they are corrupt officials willing to accept something for the favor.
Okay, but isn't there supposed to be a national identification number for every child born? The one that goes into a central database?
Well, yes and not really. According to Punch newspaper, since independence in 1960, Nigeria has made several attempts to identify her citizens. Unfortunately, these attempts didn't work. Then came the establishment of the National Identity Management Commission, NIMC, in 2007. This commission created the pathway for something like a database where every resident and citizen gets a unique national identification number, the NIN. And this number is attached to a person's demographic data, like birthdays, gender, as well as biometric data like fingerprints and digital signature. These are used to cross-check existing data in the database to confirm that there is no previous entry of that person's data. So we have these wonderful systems to identify people, but none of them are automatic. The hospital does not automatically send the child's details so an NIN is created, but rather the parents have to take the child to a center to be enrolled. So a baby may or may not be registered, which is how we get to people not really knowing their ages, and that's how we get to football ages.
Now, using a football age is fun and may be helpful for a person's career, but it does have extreme consequences. Daniel Mfonobong, in his article on Nigeria Infopedia, says that the problem with getting a new age is that you now have to make sure that all other documents are consistent. So all other certificates have to match and reflect your new age. Mfonobong also notes that lying about your age breeds corruption and unproductivity. For example, Nigeria has a tradition of producing seemingly promising young stars in football who mysteriously fail to fulfill their potential in the professional league. This is because by the time they are supposed to excel in the professional league, they're already too old and can't keep up. Ken Anugweji, a former board member of the Athletics Federation of Nigeria, says this is the price we pay for age cheating.
The Backstory is brought to you by E Media Production. Production copyright 2021 E Media Productions. If you enjoyed this episode of The Backstory and want to hear more, subscribe to our 234 Audio YouTube channel. Visit our website at 234audio.com and download our 234 Audio app. Episodes of this podcast can also be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. This episode of The Backstory was produced by Anthonieta, Kalunta, John Iwodi, Sam Tabakaji, and Dominic Tabakaji. Executive producer Rahmat Muhammad. Special thanks to Alexandra Gekpe, Rabia Hadejia, Richard Anyebe, Stanley Bentu, Aredi Isha, and Mala Iwa Gbado Ikaleku. I'm Rahmat Muhammad. See you next week.